Right. Whoop whoop. All right. Hello, everyone. We hope
What's
everybody's
up?
having a good day. Look, it's 2 o'clock on a Sunday, except Eastern Standard Time. I mean Central Standard.
Central Standard Time. you, you just not gonna ever get that right.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. April.
Next
I'm
month.
having it in April.
Next month.
All
Next
right,
month.
that's right. That's right. All right, so we're gonna take just a few seconds just to share it out.
Oh yeah, let me get my phone.
Let's see here. Make sure my volume's down so everybody ain't hearing this 3 times. I do hope everybody coming in is having a great day. If you haven't already liked the ATBA Impact Group page, please do that. That way you can watch us and keep up with us and all the good things. So again, I hope everybody's having a good day. As you watch it, if you hear anything that you like, hit your likes and your hearts down at the bottom. If you don't mind, can you share this to your page, to your friend page, or tag somebody that you know may be interested in hearing about the difference between passion and possession. So today we're really talking about how we assume responsibility over our lives. And when we do that, whether it's in relationships with people and not, romantic necessarily, but just all types of relationships with people, as well as when we try to obtain things for ourselves, we sometimes attach our joy, our purpose, and our passions to those things or those people. And sometimes they can get a little toxic or unhealthy. So we're talking about the difference between passion and possession. So if you don't know me, my name is Carrie Crosby. I am the founder of ATBA Impact Group, where we focus on planting seeds of positivity so that we can challenge people's capacity for change and encourage them to just seek self-discovery so that they can take their rightful place in this journey we call life. What's up, Lori? How you doing? Share this out, girl. So I'm going to share this to a couple more groups. How you doing today, Sean?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to
Glad to
you.
be here. I love
Absolutely.
coming here on the first Sundays of the
That's
month.
right, right. She got a standing seat, y'all.
I
That's
got a
it.
standing
Yeah.
seat.
She and E.
Yes.
You and E. Ain't no penciling. So yeah, if you like what you hear today, please come back and join us every first Sunday of the month when my guest is LaShawn of Sean Speaks. Tell them a little bit about what you do and where they can find you and your podcast and everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am LaShawn Fleming Bruce. I go by Sean Speaks on social media sites for the most part. And I have a blog called freeyourthinkingmind.com. You can definitely go over to freeyourthinkingmind.com and check out all of my writings. I do turn some of my blogs into what I call blogcasts. And those you can find also on my YouTube channel that's named Sean Speaks. You can just YouTube it, do a search, and you'll find me. But yeah, I say it all the time. My mission really is to just get people to start to see with their own eyes, hear with their own ears, act aligned with their own hearts, so they can live their greatest dreams. Everything I do, business, personal, you talk to me, you share with me. I'm going to just share you connecting more with yourself so that you can believe whatever you thought was impossible, you will make possible and you'll live your greatest dreams.
Absolutely, I love that. See, I better hook up with her now because we making dreams come true around
Check
here.
me out, right?
Yeah, we
Right?
making dreams come true around here.
Around here.
All right. That's when you mean it, when you just hear.
You got me here. That's funny.
I only know what to put the Y in here, but I know there's a Y in there. Here.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I know that's right. What's up? I see about 6 eyes in the room so far. So say hello when you come through. Let us know how your Sunday is going. I hope everybody again is having a beautiful day. So we're just gonna jump right into the topic. So one of the reasons why I chose this topic, what's going on, Brandy? One of the reasons why I
What's up,
chose
Brandy?
this topic is because I realize a lot of people get really attached to stuff, whether it be people, whether it be things, whether it be money, whether it be their routines. And I feel like that's part of the reason why sometimes growth is not necessarily that it doesn't happen, but a lot of times it's delayed, is because we're too attached to what we can get or who we got or who's around. And then we let sadness of the loss of some of these things um, deflect us from moving forward. So when I first brought this topic up, what was your first thought, Sean?
Ooh, it was one of them. It was a hard topic. It was one of them topics where you'd be like, okay, let me move on out, because we're all guilty
Right,
of being very possessive,
right,
right? Possessive with people we
right.
care about, people we're in love with, things,
Mm-hmm,
situational setups. We're
mm-hmm,
very guilty about possessing things,
right,
and but the problem is that when you're in possession, when you have a possessive mind about it, you actually kill it. You
right,
don't give it life. You suffocate it, right?
right.
And so when you said purpose versus passion, I'm not purpose, but passion versus possession, I
Mm-hmm,
just really started to think about, a lot of times we start ourselves off with thinking we want to find our purpose. I know I
right,
did, right? I spent a majority of my probably adult life, please help me find my purpose. But I
right.
think the starting place really is to start with your passion,
Mm-hmm,
because your passion is that thing that's uniquely you. And
right,
it's something that goes from the inside out.
right.
Whereas possession is you're depending on someone else's response or to you, doing
Right,
something for you, showing up a certain way for you, right?
right.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
what happens is we start at the wrong point. You don't start off, because that's technically purpose. When you're
Right.
when you're pouring into somebody's life and it's helping them, great, that's purpose. But you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to get there until you start with first pouring into yourself. That's passion, because
Right.
that's what's going to come out of you.
Right.
So when you think about passion, passion is very selfish, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not in the negative way that we're taught about selfishness. If you don't,
Right.
you have to start with you, right? If you start with you, with the things that you like, the love that you want to give, right? You can give that out. But where we get caught up at, and it becomes possession, is that let's say we have a passionate connection about whatever, about a person. We'll start off giving them freely us, right?
Right.
Unconditional love, unconditional
Right.
attention, unconditional
Yep.
whatever. But then the moment they don't respond, or the
Right.
situation don't turn out the way we thought that it was supposed to,
Right.
then we hold our passion hostage,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
really what you're trying to do is you're holding hostage somebody else's emotion,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
you're boxing it in possession, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if we start to, and this is, and I think what you find is that it spills over into not just relationships, but to your day to day life, like your business.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a Steve Jobs, right? A Steve Jobs don't build a company like Apple
Mm-hmm.
unless he first connected to something that was passionate on the inside of him,
Right.
right?
Uh-huh.
And he did not
Absolutely.
care about whether or not you liked it or not, because
Right.
he first had to fall in love with it himself.
Come on.
Then
Right.
then he pours that passion out to you, right? But he cannot worry about whether or not you actually receive it the way he wants you to receive it,
Right.
because that
Right.
can't be of his concern. And I
Right.
think we got to start to apply that in our lives in every aspect, relationships, business,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're ready to give out of yourself, you have to give out of yourself independent of other people's responses,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. And I love how you put that, because like when you just talk about Jobs there, just because he create an Apple product doesn't mean that he's got to run around and tell everybody who uses Androids that they're dumb, stupid, they don't know what they're talking about, they're being unreasonable and stuff like that because you're using an Android. When I went through all this trouble to make an Apple, Well, we appreciate the apple, and I appreciate you creating an atmosphere to where we have choices. But that's the whole purpose of having choices. That's the whole purpose of having free will. How many times, in the show of hands out there in the comment section, how many times have y'all went to your favorite grocery store or the local Walmart that you go to every single time? And then you go in the store and they done rearrange things. And you're like, it just do something to you. You're like, it wasn't nothing wrong with it before. It wasn't nothing wrong with it the way it was last time. Now I got to go all over the store. I can't find this. I can't find that. What's the problem? There is no problem. You're creating a problem. You are creating a problem where no problem even exists. This is something that's tangible, and as is life, things change. She said she'd be mad when they change it. and me too.
Yeah.
But you have to sit back behind those emotions that come up for you, because something that happened externally touched your stuff internally, and now all of a sudden emotions arise that causes you to be miserable, to be upset, to be bothered, to be sad. But you got to understand that you got to be water, flow around the rocks in the river. It doesn't. Yep. You don't have to stop your flow just because something is in the way. You going this way, something get there, and you just do one of these. It's okay. And that's when, like, when you, if you dropped a huge boulder into the river, and the river said, "Well, I ain't gonna do nothing else." If that's the way you're gonna do it, it's just, it doesn't. When you put it in terms like that, it really doesn't make any sense. What's up, cousin? So one of the things that you also said when you was talking about the expectations sometimes we put on people is we hold them hostage by our own expectations. And when you dial that down to the this nitty bitty bitty, think about every experience that you have had in your life. You individually are the only one that has cultivated what you like and what you don't like. And then we bring someone else into that scenario and expect them, after going through every single experience that they have in their life, to match our definition of what makes us happy and whole. And to me, in my opinion, I feel like it's very unrealistic.
It is. What you think? No, it's absolutely unrealistic, but we do it all the time. I do it, you do it. We do it all the time, but that's where possession comes in at, right? Uh-huh. That's it sneaks in there. And then this is the thing, right? And it applies to everything. It applies to your relationships. It applies to your business. Possession sneaks into that. Mm-hmm. And then you literally ruin what could have been a great situation. Right. You literally disconnect from something that you could have built into a big business or a great business. You literally ruin it, right? Because you're not pouring out because you have something to give. You're pouring out because you're wanting someone to respond a certain way.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And so you, but this is why you have to connect to your own passions. When you connect to your own passions, you are saying to yourself, I trust me so much that, and I believe that what I have to give into this world is so critically important that I'm going to pour out, and I'm going to let what I pour out have its own life cycle.
Come on. That right there. Say that again. Say it again. Right. Type it in the comments.
Yeah. Let it have its own life cycle. Because check this out. Have you ever read something or watched something or heard somebody say something, and when you first heard it, it did nothing for you? Mm-hmm. Right? You didn't connect to it. Mm-hmm. You didn't go back and reread it again. You did nothing. Mm-hmm. But then 6 months later, you've gone through some life situations. Right. And you come across that same information from 6 months ago. Yeah. And all of a sudden, it just connects. It don't just connect. It swings a home freaking run. Right? Just think about it. What if that person who said or wrote or whatever they did that connected with you, what if they didn't do that because what they had wrote before didn't get the response that they wanted? Right? This is why when you connect with your passions and you give out your passions are energy.
Right.
And you have got to let that energy run its course.
Right.
Right? It is separate and apart from you.
Right.
So guess what? You ain't got to take it. You don't have to be so sensitive about it.
Right.
You got it to give because that's what you have to pour out. Now let that live. Right? That's why we're still listening to people who died 50 years ago. That's why Martin Luther King's dream still is just alive today as it was when he first said it. That's why we still read Napoleon Hill book. You would think the darn book was written yesterday. Why? Right? Why? Because what you have to give have its own life cycle. But if you get stuck in possession, you will stop because you're focused too much on somebody's response to you and not what you have to give. Right? That's what happens. That's a lot of times what happens in relationships. Right? You meet somebody, you pour out, it's a connection. You are just this person can just show up and they just do it for you. They just do it for you, right? They just do it for you. Right? You're just like, God, how did they do it for me? They just
walking in here like
right? And instead of going with that, what happens is you start adding all of these expectations of how you think they're supposed to be.
Right.
And so instead of you continuing to pour out your passions, what you're wanting to now do is take them and put them in a cage and possess them. And guess what happens? Even if somebody wants to be possessed for a little while, they're going to start not being able to breathe. They're going to start needing space. Right? Just like all of your creative ideas within you. Right? All of the business ideas within you, if you don't give them space so that you can pour them out and not need them to be caged in by other people's responses, right? Then you're not giving yourself the freedom to be and giving your ideas and your business ideas the freedom to be.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And, I got to hit these definitions right quick. And I think this is a perfect insert in time for it. Because when I'm looking it up, of course, I go off of I just type it into Google. So give the, credit where credit is due.
What's
but
up,
it says
Google?
Google.
Oh, God.
So the definition of passion is the strong and barely controllable emotion, or the suffering and death of Jesus. So when we think about this passion, right, this is something, even when you add in Jesus, in his life, all the things, everything that's included here, this is something that, for lack of a better word of my own definition, it's almost like it was inevitable. It's almost like it was, like they said, barely controllable. So it's like uncontrollable to an extent. It's just something that comes up in you because it's something that has touched something inside of you. Because again, we all have our definitions of what we like and what we don't like. These things start from birth. From the first baby food you ate. If them peas hit you wrong, you probably didn't like peas until you was a old adult and you tried it one more time after all this time.
Exactly.
Or if your first boyfriend wore a certain perfume that you loved and he broke his heart, you probably never want to smell it again. Or if someone, the first person you fell in love with had this certain type of walk, and like you watch, as they walk, you just watching their legs, then now you consider yourself a leg person. And then we take all these little things, and that list goes on and 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 on. In that respect, I feel like we even put too much power in our passions, because even the things that automatically and uncontrollably attracts us to some people, that's still not universal. Passion is not universal.
It's not universal. Nope, it's not universal.
Yeah, and it's unique as a fingerprint to every single person. So then when we look at the definition of possession, it says the state of having, owning, or controlling something. An item of property, something belonging to one. One. So especially with relationships, you will start there and then move on to the things and the
Okay.
businesses and the things like that. So when I think about this in terms of people, even your best friend, let your best friend bring someone around and they got an inside joke. How you feel?
Oh, I'm bothered. I'm hot and bothered, right? Because
Right,
I feel like, how dare you have a greater connection with somebody else, or y'all got something going on I don't know about, right? I
right,
feel excluded,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And we let that carry over. And now all of a sudden, this precious, unique, undescribable bond you have with your best friend is less because of one instance,
yeah.
because of one person. Even if you are one who says my best friend is the most important person to me, some people, their best friend is more important than their relationship, because they're like, relationships come and go, but best friends of my life. We all have that. We all say the little cute things. But then one instance like that happened, and all of a sudden, why is that same relationship not that important to you? And if that person, in any respect, any type of relationship, any type of connection, if that person is that important to you and their happiness is that important to you, why do you have to be in that equation?
Hmm. Well, because you go from focusing on what you're wanting to give to what you're
Mm-hmm.
getting.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Mm-hmm.
and we and we do it all the time, and we mess up relationships that way,
Right.
right? Because we'll say, one of the reasons why we like having a best friend is because a best friend shows us what unconditional love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
but we say unconditional love,
Right.
but we mean with conditions,
That part.
right?
That part.
And so what we have to learn to do is to stop focusing on other people and focus on what we want to give. The reason why that person became your best friend is because you gave of yourself
Mm-hmm.
in a way unconditionally that connected to whatever this person was giving
Mm-hmm.
in a way that was unconditional, right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
But then what happens is that once you move from what you're wanting to give out to what you think you're supposed to give,
Right.
now you've built the structure of possession. And
Right.
now you're
Right.
saying, hey,
Right.
you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to act
Right.
this way, right?
Mm.
You're supposed to talk to me every day. You're supposed to respond to my text in 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes to respond back, right?
Right.
And now what happens is when you start to do little things, and we do little things like that in relationship, initially they're cute. We
Right.
like, why you ain't call me back? Why it took you so long to call me back, right? That's just cute,
Right.
right?
Like,
I was
also,
just,
also now you ain't gonna talk to me, right? Okay, so now we ain't gonna talk every day, right? Okay.
exactly,
And then it goes
right?
to, well, we was talking every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then it becomes an issue, and what you do is that it becomes a bigger and bigger issue
Yeah.
because you're no longer willing doing what you did initially, which is pour out of yourself. Now
Right.
you're only focused on what is this person giving. And let me tell you why we
Right.
do that. We do that really for three reasons. We move from passion to possession for three main reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be able to pass judgment.
Okay.
We want
Mm-hmm.
to be able to play the victim,
Okay.
and we want somebody to blame. Those are our three alibis.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's what happens while we move from passion to possession, because
Right.
when you're giving out your passion, guess what it does? It makes you vulnerable.
Oh yeah.
It
Mm-hmm.
makes you very, very, very vulnerable. But
Mm-hmm.
it actually makes you very strong,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you don't get caught up in
Mm-hmm.
possession.
Right.
Because the moment you get caught up in possession, now you're gonna have a whole lot of emotions come
Right.
in, and a lot of times
Right.
you're not going to be able to control those emotions,
Right.
right? Because it's
Absolutely.
all going to be about, well, you were supposed to do that.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. I want to hit on this comment right quick. Yumara says, self-love can affect in differentiating between passion and possession, just like you said, which is why I'm like, yeah, this is right on time. Being present too, if people or possessions celebrate self-love, or are they filling a gap in the self-love? And that is
Oh,
so true.
that is so
Because one of
true.
the things that I am so passionate about is for people to redirect their passion very quickly. Because if you don't, you will be looking to fill a void that someone else, let me put this a different way. Whenever we have things in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
and we consider ourselves whole, right? And it doesn't matter what pieces it is, it doesn't matter who it is, whatever. We all say that we always want to be filled before we add anybody else into the equation. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that is true, and I completely believe that. But we still want that external stimulation, whether it be conversations, whether it be just like some people, like, that's just my best bar friend. You know what I mean? Like, that's just my best bar friend, or that's just my best shopping friend, or that's my best online friend. We like these things, and there is nothing wrong with those things. But when we get caught up in that possession piece and we start feeling our love for ourselves, not love for life, love for ourselves with those external stimulations, that's when the possession takes hold. And then it messes up our joy and our happiness. Because if you are that bothered, and I'm not dismissing anyone's relationship or connections with people, but if you're that bothered by one person when there's 8 billion people, come on. That is an internal thing that has to be looked at and dealt with, because it's that self-love piece right there.
It's that
Filling in
self-love.
those gaps. Filling in those self-love gaps with the love of others. Will it hurt? Yeah, I'm not saying it won't hurt when people leave. Yeah, will it be annoying when your best friend got an inside joke with somebody else? Yeah, it's annoying. But you just got to figure out ways not to stay there. And one of those things is, like Sheila's saying, is creating healthy boundaries. And I think one of the most important healthy boundaries that we can have is checking yourself every now and
Yeah,
then.
I was just about to say the healthy boundary starts from within, right? It
Mm-hmm.
starts from, see, a lot of times what happens is, and it's no fault of our own. We were really kind of trained this way, right?
Exactly.
We when we have these, because we're focusing right now on relationships, but
Yep, yep.
when you're in this relationship field, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you're giving out your love or giving out your passion to someone,
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy to get caught up into thinking that, well, if I feel this way for someone,
Uh-huh.
then this person is supposed to do these things or feel this way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in actuality, what it was that you were giving out, right? You were giving out what you were filled with, right? That's
Right.
that self-love. But what
Right.
happens is we give out in a way that causes emptiness in
Mm-hmm.
us, because we get caught up into thinking that now this person or this situation is now supposed to feel me.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so what happens is we run on empty and we're waiting for somebody else or something else to feel us, and they can't.
Right.
Then that turns into frustration.
Mm-hmm.
That turns into wanting to emotionally shut things down, right? But that doesn't work, right? Because the moment you emotionally shut down from them, you're really emotionally shutting down from yourself. Because
Right.
if you never would have emotionally shut down on yourself, their response to you wouldn't have impacted you as much, right? Now, sometimes people will say, well, you get like that. Well, Sean, you're heartless. I'm not heartless, right?
Right.
The more I practice emotional control and emotional stability, I think the more caring I become. But the more caring I become, the more responsible about my emotions I become. So
Right.
I'm not seeking you, right? Right? To satisfy something that I can do for myself. But I'm also going to put the responsibility that you cannot require me
Right.
to satisfy your emotions.
Right.
Right? You
Right.
can't do it. Because
Right.
when we start doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to spill over into possession,
Yeah.
right? And that possession is going to breed resentment. It's going to breed frustration. It's going to breed unhappiness, right?
Right.
And it's going to breed a whole lot of hard work. And there's no reason to do that,
Right.
right? So passion keeps it on you giving
Mhm.
out what you have to give.
Right. Absolutely. And I was, I'm all over Michael A. Singer right now. But he was talking about just that whole possession piece when it comes to. He was talking about a job. He's like, a lot of us, we focus on. I want to make a lot of money. I want, whatever it is. We make these very intricate, detailed lists of anything that we want, right? When we're really what we are seeking is the intangible things.
Yep.
We replace the intangible things with
With the tangible.
lists of things that we want. Like, well, he ain't never buy me flowers. Well, she don't ever think about what I want. Well, we always go where they want to go. Or I always go to my friend's house. They don't ever come see me. Or every time I go to work, it's like this. And every time this, and that, and the other. But what we are seeking is for everything in the world, literally, to shift to fit our expectations.
Yeah.
Like, let's think about this for just one half a second. The world is huge. There's billions of people. I'm sitting here and wanting to be happy, and I have a very specific list of what that looks like. And I need the whole world to shift and bow down and do exactly what I want it to do so that I can live my life in a way that I am always happy and unbothered.
Yeah, but that's true. That's how we operate, and that's why we always are emotionally stressed
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're making these demands on other people that it's unrealistic demands, right?
It is their life.
And we're making demands on other people to do what we're not doing for ourselves. I could see if you were doing it for yourself, right? But
Right.
you're not even doing it for yourself. And this is the key. When you start to do it for yourself,
You don't need nobody else
you don't
to.
need nobody else,
You
right?
don't need nobody else to.
You don't need nobody else. And this is to me how you start to create businesses and be more creative and start to do some of the things that you're wanting to do. You do that because you are giving to yourself and pouring out of yourself what
Right.
you need to without expecting somebody else to do something. And
Right.
you say, yep,
Yes. Lord said you stepping on her toes.
I'm telling you,
Lord said,
I'm stepping on mine too.
said, speak on it. Speak
Yeah.
on it now. Oh yeah.
I'm stepping on my own
Hey,
toes,
oh, I'm
right?
stepping all over mine. I'm
I'm
stepping
stepping
all
all
over
over.
mine. I'm about to take my shoes off so I can just feel it a little bit better because we all need this.
We all need it.
Because if we can broaden what we want to emotions, the list of things that will please us will be endless.
Endless.
But the small list, and we think our lists are huge. I want this, I want that. I know what I want. I've been with myself long enough to know exactly what I need, and I ain't settling for nothing. You are what you are doing by that is you are making it nearly impossible to be happy.
Yep.
Because ain't nobody gonna come around in your little perfect life and do everything perfectly for you. It's not gonna happen. People gonna drive too slow in front of you. They're gonna cut you off. The grocery store will rearrange. Some of them will shut down.
Yep.
People will leave. People will die. People will cheat on you. People will run away from you, abuse you, call you names. Your friends won't call you. This is life. But if you seek joy, there are endless amounts of things to bring you joy. If you seek happiness, there are endless amount of things that can make you happy. If you seek abundance, there are endless amount of things that make you feel plentiful. But we are so specific. He gotta be tall, dark, and handsome, girl, because anything less, I'm a queen. Like, what are you doing? Yes, you are a queen, but have you ever been to a kingdom where there's a king and queen that they didn't say, everything is mine? I have the pick of anything in the whole world. If you're
Exactly.
a queen, stop limiting yourself. If you're a
Exactly.
king, stop with these little tangible lists. Because if the world is truly going to be your oyster, you got to swim the whole ocean. Not
Yeah.
that little section that you got lined out. This right here, this here, this my piece.
Yeah.
Get
Well,
out.
see, Listen to what you just said. This is my piece. See, this is where we
Mm-hmm.
get caught up, because we start adding that. I get it. We have to use the vocabulary that we were given, and unless you like me, start creating some new words, right?
Right.
But that,
Yeah, we can do that too.
we can
Look,
do
we
that.
can do that too.
But this mine, right? The moment you start adding the my and the mine to it, right? That's possession. Then that takes away control from you, and that's giving control to others,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
when you start to do that, that's where the frustration comes at. But
Yeah.
when you are the queen, and this is your
Right.
queendom, and
Right.
all is yours, right? Then
Right.
now you have to learn and you have to master how to take everybody's reaction, responses, do or didn't do, and use it, right? Use it in a way that still fuels you and to give out what you want to give. So
Right.
instead of being emotionally crushed by what somebody did or didn't do, you are now actually using it as a structural tool,
Right.
right, in your own joy, right?
Yeah.
I can take something that you said or did that would have normally knocked me off of course emotionally for 6 months. I can now use that, right?
Yeah.
Transmute that, transform that
Right. Right.
into a usable way for my own emotional buildup. Instead of letting something break me down, now I'm learning how to use everything to build me up, right?
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
that's only if you're wanting to feed passions in your life.
Right.
But most of us only want to feed possessions.
Yeah.
We want the boyfriend or the girlfriend so that we can say that's my boyfriend.
That's my
girlfriend.
boyfriend. Right.
Or we want the job. That's my job.
Right.
That is my team. Right? But
Yeah.
what if the situation in life transcends it being yours? And then now that's why if you a loss of a job can cause some people to want to lose their life, right? Because they made it theirs, right? But it was
Right.
never yours in the first place.
Ever.
It was never he was never your spouse, your husband, your girlfriend. No, it was never mine. So move away from that. What happened was you poured out your passions or your affection or your love. It connected to somebody else. They poured out their passion, their love, their connection, right? And it lasts for however it lasts, right?
Right.
The job worked for you for however it worked for you. But it's many people are at a job right now. Monday, they hate that today is Sunday.
Because
Because
they gotta go in tomorrow.
they gotta go in on Monday.
Yeah.
But because they got caught up in this is my job, so that I can buy my house, so I can drive my car, right? So now they just all of those minds, all that did was construct them into a life that was unfulfilling, right? And they gave no space. There was no seams to get. I gave no space
Nope.
to
No
no
room.
room to themselves, right? Give room to yourself. And let me tell you, and this is why when people say, well, I would like to do something, but I just don't have time. I don't have the energy. I'll be working all day and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, then that means you're not giving room to yourself. Well, who are you giving your energy to? Well, I work. Okay, well, who do you work for? I work for GM. Okay, well, what do you do? I help to make cars. Okay, well, you are building whose dreams? Whoever started GM's. And you're telling me that by the time you get off, you ain't got 2 hours to put into building your own dream?
Right.
Right? So if you continue to do that day in and day out and day in and day out, then guess what happens? Right? You no longer have any passions. All you can hang your hat on is possession. Right? And guess what?
Yeah. And on the same time, GM possesses you.
And GM possesses you. Right? But then you wonder why you don't want to go to work tomorrow.
Right. Because just as much as what you are doing in turn to things and people, it's the very same thing that we can't stand for people to do to us. Don't put me in a box, but we do it to people all the time. All the time.
All the time.
And I was just thinking when you said that about, go to my job so I can pay for my car, so that I can have my nice things, so I can impress my new boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, lover, whatever. And when you really think about, again, going back to the relationships, because it's like the most common thing that we can all relate to, marriage. And we have both talked about this before. Marriage was all about possession to begin with. And we all like, well, if you like it, you should have put a ring on it. If you like it, then you put. That is the smallest handcuff in life.
But guess what? You're handcuffing and you're
That's
making yourself small. You're seeing yourself small. Somebody putting a ring on it.
right,
You just
right,
literally decreased
right,
yourself
right.
willingly.
Willingly and wanting it, begging for it. Like, well, I don't know. Like, we've been dating for this amount of time and they ain't even proposed yet. Or we need to be making plans and I don't understand. But the thing is, it's like, why isn't love enough? Why isn't passion enough? Why do you have to run out and have something saying that you belong to someone? Why do you have to have that proof? Now, I understand insurance and all that stuff, but you can write all that stuff in your will without ever getting a marriage certificate. Let's be real. So that ain't
Yeah.
it. No, that's not it. That is because you want it to be yours and yours alone, so that you have the right to say it's mine.
Go back to those 3 alibis, right? You want it to become yours. You want him or her to be yours so that when him or her do what him or her gonna do, which is mess up, not do exactly what you want,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have an alibi. You can blame them, you can
Mm-hmm.
judge them, and you can play the victim.
Mm-hmm.
See, what we're talking about when you're focusing on your passions and what you're giving out, there are no alibis. There's no one to blame. There's no one to judge, and you're not the victim because you're doing you. Right. But when I put that obligation on somebody else, right, to have
Right.
to please me, to have to
Right.
do for me what I can't, I think I can't do for myself. Now they don't do it. Now I can say, well, he cheated on me. No, he didn't cheat on you. He didn't cheat on you. Or that boss was mean to me. No, the boss wasn't mean to you. You knew 6 months ago you needed to change jobs. You were
Right.
beginning to feel that job and you were not connecting.
Right.
But you had the feeling of insecurity, and that paycheck every week gave you false security.
Right.
Right. And then when the boss man finally got enough of you and let you go, right? Now you're in your feelings.
Right.
But guess what? That probably was the best thing that could have ever happened to you.
That's right. Angel says there is something in people that makes them want to be claimed and be claimed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because it gives us a sense of belonging. It gives us a sense of entitlement. It makes us feel like we have purpose and place in life, because like everybody likes to walk into a room and someone yells your name and they say, "Hey, Carrie, oh God, yeah, all right." Because I'm one of those people too.
I am too.
Right. That's why I go to some of the places I go, because I know when I walk in the door, I'm going to belong. They're going to know who I am. Anytime my brother came to town, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to just take you up the road. Because I knew when I walked in the door, he would see that like these people, know me and so on that. Everybody likes that. I
But
like
the thing is, but you can't start there.
Right.
You might grow into there, right? That's the reason why if the president come to town, people want to go see him, right? Beyonce come to town, people want to go here, right? But people would have never wanted to go hear Beyonce if she never would have started singing.
Right.
If her starting to sing was dependent upon crowds of people coming to see her, we would not even have Beyonce.
Right.
Right? And you have to start to see yourself that way. Stop being willing to see yourself only in the small way the world has trained you to see yourself. And start being willing to see yourself in this impossible way that you want to be and you want to show up. Right? And that was just take your freedom.
Yeah.
Take your freedom. But this is the thing. You gotta want to take your freedom. Many of us don't want to take our freedom because we truly believe others give us security.
Ooh, that's a whole word. Why are you afraid of your freedom? Why are we afraid of freedom? You know why? Because those 3 things that you listed are off the table, and no one in the mirror but you.
Let me tell you something. Those 3 things that I listed, those 3 alibis, if you can let go of them being your alibis,
Come on.
it will free it. Something that would have emotionally broken you down a year ago will roll off like water on your back if you can just let go those 3 alibis.
Yeah.
Right? There's nobody to blame. You are not a victim. You're only a victim because you believed in the smallness people talked to you about and told you. You believe that a ring made you whole. Right. You believe that you were a half needing another half. Right? You believe that you needed that job that had the perfect title, that paid 6 figures in order to be, had them benefits. See, I can remember when I graduated from law school, and I got in a job, and boy, I thought I had arrived. God dog it, I had arrived, right? I had the title, I had the office, I had all of that. Never knowing that what I was doing was I was entering into a door that was basically boxing me into a life that I didn't even want to live.
Entering the assembly line.
I was entering the assembly line, right? But I didn't know it because all I believed was that I needed to have my job, and I needed the job to have a title that made me look important, right? Yeah, I wanted to feel important, right? And in actuality, it wasn't even what I wanted, right? Because what you want is something. We're going to use the word passion because we're talking about passion versus possession, but the definition of passion is perfect. It's something that you want to inevitably pour out of you. Right. But if you don't cultivate what's in you, you don't really know what you want to pour out. Right. Which is why we always get caught up into thinking that, I'm sure people that's listening are going to be able to relate. How many times have you said, I just want to find my purpose? Yeah. Can I find my purpose? I just want to discover what my purpose is. You beg for it. You pray to it. You go to church for it. You begging people I just want to find my purpose. And I tell people, you're never going to find it outside of you. Right. Because you don't start with purpose. Right. You start with passion. Right. And you start with seeking of yourself. Right. When you start to dig deep in yourself, right, then now you can be Beyonce. You can go and sing, right? And then sing again and again and again and again. But Beyonce, you never would have got to put a ring on it had she not started singing before you even knew who she was. Didn't even know who she was. Right? Because what was she cultivating? She was cultivating her own passions. Right? Yeah. So we've got to start to cultivate our own passions. I wrote this little sentence I said when we were going back and forth on this text earlier. I said, learning to embrace your passions and expand them into purpose is the way to exit the bondage of a possessive mind. Come on. That's it right there. If y'all didn't get them, y'all better. If you don't, you better. Because that right there is good. That will keep that is the key to the cup. That is the key to the cup. You got to, when you have your passions and you know, okay, this is what I'm passionate about, this is the things that I like to do, etc. You know yourself. And you're wanting to pour it out. You start to pour it out. You start to pour it out. You start to pour it out. Right? This is then how your passions turn into purpose. Yes. Right. This is now how what we're doing now is passion turned into purpose. Right. But if we never would have done it the first time, or the second time, or the third time, But if we say, well, this my purpose, this my purpose, and the moment you put on the show and you got one viewer, I should just give up. No, I'm just gonna give up. This ain't for me. No, and you're right. It's not for you, right? Because when it's your passion, you don't need anybody. Right? Because you got to do what? You got to pour it out, right? I got to write. I get up sometimes. I write. I just got to share. I got to let that out. Right? Sometimes I'm like, okay, do I say this for the book or do I let it? I got the book in the future. I gotta let this out today. I gotta share that today.
Somebody need this.
Somebody need that today, right?
Yes.
Because remember,
Yes.
what you have to give, your passions that you have to give, have a life cycle of their own.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They have a life cycle of their own. And if you start to understand it, let's go back to our iPhone. You know, we love our iPhones, right?
Right.
We think this thing is like the best thing since sliced bread, right? Right? But guess what? In 50 years, somebody that's cultivating their passions are going to make this obsolete.
Right.
They're going to make this archaic.
Yeah.
Right? How do we know that? How many of us have a home phone? You remember the home phone where y'all? Right? But guess what? That was great technology when it first came out.
Amazing
Technology. Right? Mm-hmm. Until somebody started to say, well, you know, what about if we had a phone that didn't have no cords?
Yeah, when I get out in the car, I still need to call somebody. You know?
Exactly.
What about emergency? And you know, it's so funny because while you were talking about that earlier, I had the same thought, and I just had it again. I'm thinking, I think I might be being pulled towards something because I've already claimed that 2021. I'm going into 2021 looking for land, not a house, not land. I'm going into 2021 looking for land. I mean, we really think about that and what we've been talking about, how things shift and how things always change. A good example of possession and how we think that all these things makes us so happy, whether it be a relationship, whether it be the job, whether it be the car, we got to get the next thing. Every time iPhone come out with a new one, we want that one. Like even just something as simple as this ring light right here. I didn't want no rinky-dink ring light. I want a ring light like everybody else had a ring light. I want my ring light to be bright, you know?
Yeah.
But if I walked out of this house today and I went to a piece of land, I could sit there, I could build a fire, I could grow my food and my meat if I wanted, and be completely content. You know why? Because we used to be without all these possessions and all these complications and all these things that we compare to each other, and that's how we deem whether we have made it or we've arrived. If you strip all that stuff down and you're happy, none of that stuff matters.
None of that.
You would still be just as happy. You would be just as fulfilled. You'd be just as abundant. And I guarantee you somebody will still look at you and be like, dang, she got it made. Mm-hmm. Because it's not about what we can possess. It's about what we are passionate about and where our passion comes from. It comes from in here. And when we can have that, oof.
Well, see what you just described about the land, right? About the ability of being able to say, I'm gonna walk out of all of these things that I think I have to have. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna go back to the basics, right? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna use the woods from the wood from the trees. I'm gonna build a fire. Right, mm-hmm. And then if I wanna eat some possum, I'm gonna go find a possum from Mississippi. Not that I'm gonna go find the possum and I'm gonna grill it up on the fire, right? Right. But and you said it, and some people still will look at you and be like, wow, you know why? You know why? Because they are sensing the energy of the power you are giving out. Mm-hmm. Right. And they're sensing that energy is coming from the inside out. It's not coming from having the phone. It's not coming from driving a particular car. It's not coming from having a title that your boss gave you. It is coming from you and you alone. And that's powerful. Right. So that's why sometimes you have to engage. And it may seem a little gruesome. Some people might think it's gruesome. But sometimes I engage in what I guess I would call it almost a death practice, where I literally sometimes will visualize myself laying down as if I was dead, and I would just literally strip away, right, everything around me, right. So if there's the floor goes away, becomes invisible. The walls become invisible. The wherever if I'm in a casket, whatever I'm laying, that becomes invisible. Then I come all the way to my body. Mm-hmm. Then my arms become invisible. My body become invisible, right? Why am I doing that? I am disconnecting myself from everything that I thought I had to have to be. Then once I get to the place where there's nothing, then I can now construct, right? And now when I'm constructing, I'm adding in what supports the passions I want to give out. Right. And when you do that the first time they feel a little bit like, ooh, this is kind of scary. I don't want to think about that. Right. But the problem is the reason why you don't want to think about it is because you're afraid of it. Right. But you're not going to walk out your house, go on an empty land and build your fire fearful.
Right.
To be able to do that takes some kahunas.
Yeah.
Right. It takes some kahunas. Well, if you want to have kahunas in this life, you've got to say to yourself, I get to construct me.
Right.
I get to use what I've been taught. Now I realize that I got thousands and millions of years of history built in me. But guess what? I'm the one that's here today.
Right.
Absolutely. And I get to construct today how I want to. So if I want to start with the fire, then I can then build a fireplace around the fire.
Right.
And then I can build a room around the fire if I want to. I can then start to construct how I want to. This is why we've got to start with ourselves. Construct yourself on the inside, and you will almost become impenetrable.
Right. Absolutely. 100%.
100%.
When you realize that what you really want is not things. It's not. You think you want things. You think you want a car. You don't want a car. Because as soon as you get that car, and this is coming straight from the Surrender Project, the Untethered Soul in Action. If you get a new car, and think of the perfect car that you want. You want a Rolls Royce with blacked out, black rims, black everything. It ain't nothing chrome but the Rolls Royce emblem thing on the front. And you get in that car, you drive that car, you feeling good, you pull up at work, everybody like, oh, girl, you got a new car. Yeah, I got a new car. You riding that thing, you driving that thing. It's 5 years go by. Does it still do it for you? It done got a scratch on it. Does it still do it for you? No, because you never wanted the car. You wanted the way that car made you feel.
You wanted the feeling.
So if we just seek the feeling, the list is endless.
If you cultivate that feeling from the inside of you, and all cars that you want will just
be boss. You be a boss in the Pinto, baby. Come on, get the gremlins back out. We're gonna bring gremlins back, and I'm gonna get me one, and I'll show you how to drive that thing like a boss. Because I don't care. I'll be out in that Nissan Versa with them windows down and my music up. You can't tell me nothing.
Exactly.
I'll be
but that's the reason why you can be a boss on empty land with a fire and be powerful.
Sounding
right?
better.
It's because the boss mentality, the powerful mentality, is never about the things outside of you. It's you. If you're going to be a boss, you're a boss when you show up.
Come on.
Right? You showing up is boss, because that's what you bring as you bring yourself. Right? But that's the reason why you have to you got to start to try to align your mind, your heart, and your soul. Right? You got to align yourself. And as you align yourself, right, you then create alignment around you, so that what's drawn in, right, aligns with that, right? Absolutely. And that's how you make sure you don't fall trapped to possession. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm having to rework my possessive mind all the time, right? Oh, yeah. All the time, right? And it's so easy to get caught up, especially in relationships and marriage, in work, into that possessive mind. But all that does is just add layers of frustration to your life.
Yeah.
right? Layers and layers of frustration, anger, all of these emotions that's going to have you off track. But when you can just dial back that and dial up yourself more, right?
Right.
And focus more on that alignment, right? Now you know how to handle your emotions, because that's really what it's all about.
Right.
It's handling your emotions.
Yeah, and that is it. And managing them well, and knowing what it is, the feelings that you want to create. Because when you are managing your emotions, you are paying attention to what makes you happy and what makes you sad, what makes you upset, what makes you annoyed, whatever. But when those things hit you and they hit your stuff inside and it causes you an emotion that you don't want, you got to sit kind of behind that. You can't go with it. Even the things that make you happy, sit behind that emotion and enjoy the emotion, not the thing that caused it. When you get upset, don't focus on the thing that caused it, because then you're going to get attached to that aspect of it, and then you're going to apply that thing that happened to every other thing that happens. Just sit behind the emotion and deal with that and say, why did that bother me?
And I'll take it a step further, because those things outside of you didn't actually cause it.
Right.
Something on the inside of you caused that. Yeah, exactly.
Released years and years, maybe 10 minutes ago, maybe 10 years ago. But it's something that you've never released, and now someone done touched your stuff inside, and you're mad at them. Or, again, it works both ways. It works positive and negative. It's something that you really like the car, and then someone runs into it. Now you're upset because, oh, my new car, oh my God, I was so happy. Okay.
Yeah.
Do something else to make you happy.
Yeah.
Watch a good movie. Go swimming.
Well, sit with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many of us can sit with ourselves with nothing on, nothing around us, no phones, and actually be joyful with ourselves?
Absolutely. And that's one thing I've learned in the past just few months, because I always got something on here, earbuds on. I'll be working with earbuds, TV on, radio, everything's going. But here lately on my walks, I just take my earbuds out and I just listen to just nothing and everything all at the same time, because I'm just like, me being happy is so important to me that I can't attach anything to it. Yeah. Because as soon as I attach anything to it, I'm saying that thing has to be there in order for me to be happy. And it doesn't.
It does not. It does not. And it does not. He does not. She does not. Right? The only person that needs to be there is me.
There you go.
That's it. That's it. And if I show up, I'm satisfied.
When I show up, happy shows up.
When I show up, happy shows up. Exactly. And I'm telling you, we can start to just cultivate that. You will transform not only your relationships, you will transform your money, you will transform your relationship to money, you will transform your business, your work, right? Look, a boss shows up. There you go. Exactly. If you're wanting to have that boss mentality or whatever, then you're not going to have it if you need your manager to give you the promotion for you to feel like a boss.
Come on.
Right? Or you need somebody else to designate you leader for you to feel like a leader. Right? You got to cultivate that internally yourself to yourself. Right? So that when you show up in the room, boss and leader show up. Right? Yeah. When you show up in the room, the passionate ones show up. Right? When you show up in the room, right, the curator of a great life shows up, because you don't know how to do nothing but that. Because that's who you are.
Right. Exactly. Because like you said, if your boss got to give you a raise for you to feel like a boss, you ain't a boss. The boss is still the boss.
The boss. And who's holding the strings? See, I think that what we've got to start to work out in ourselves is that who do we want to hold the strings in our lives? Now, I know most people are going to say, I want to hold strings. No, you don't. Because I had to be honest with myself. I didn't want to hold the strings. Right? Because if I held the strings, then to the extent that my life didn't look the way I wanted to look, I didn't have any. If I'm holding the strings, I got nobody to blame.
Come on.
But if my husband is holding the strings, then I can blame him.
Right.
Right? Or if my wife was holding the strings, then I can blame her. Or if my boss was holding the strings, then I can blame him or her. Right?
That part. Yeah.
But if I'm holding the strings, then I don't need my boss to give me a promotion for me to feel promoted.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
I don't need my boss to do any particular thing for me, right? Mm-hmm. Because I already got a plan anyway, right? And I'm only using this job as a part of the chess, the play of the game, right? Just a structural part, the pawn in my overall scheme for my own life, right? So that if you did decide, boss man, that you were gonna let me go tomorrow, you may have let me go. I'm good. Maybe 30 days. You may have did it 30 days before I was gonna let you go, but I was gonna let you go anyway. See, this is what you got to understand. When you start when you maintain that control, you can go through termination, you can lose hearings, you can lose relationships, you can get divorced, you can have breakups, you can change jobs, and guess what? They're not going to emotionally crush you because those things never were what was fueling you. You were fueling you. Right. You were pouring out your passions.
Right.
And absolutely. They had nothing to do with it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So then if I pour out my passions to my husband and he dropped me, okay, well, I'm gonna pour my passions to the next person.
You're right.
Because I have to give of me. And that's like with the same thing with the job. Oh, you let me go? Okay. Right. Oh, sorry. Well, I'm just gonna pour out my passion. Right? To either my own project or I'm going to go maybe get another job.
Right.
Or I'm going to create a job.
Right. Hey, that part. Yeah, right? Because passion is about not who's receiving it. It's because you can't help but spill it.
It's an inevitable outpour.
Can't help it.
Right?
Yeah. You just can't help it.
You can't help it.
Good. That's so good. That's so good. Man, I'm so glad we had this talk this day. Because I mean, and it's not just me. I can feel the energy of just the collective. That this is I feel like a very important topic because when we really step outside of ourselves and kind of look at our lives and realize how many things that we give so much credit to for us being who we are. When we strip those things down, we still are who we are. Because you can have the best job and the best title, and if you strip that away, some of us are just little girls, little boys. But if we are boss, it doesn't matter if we have a job that most people look at as mediocre. We can still be a boss. It does not matter what your title is. If you're a boss, you're a boss. It don't matter. And that passion that pours out of you will keep you from being locked down by any possession that you could ever have.
You have to be willing. We have to become more willing to explore why we're feeling a certain kind of way. Right. So if this is a Sunday and most of us got to go to work or have a job or something on Monday, then if you're feeling a certain kind of way today about tomorrow, then you're gonna need to explore why is it that you are feeling so frustrated or insecure or anxious about tomorrow coming.
Right.
Why is it that you don't necessarily want to go on the job, but you keep making yourself go on the job? The question you've got to start asking yourself is, okay, am I keeping that job because I can't get something better that fits me better? Or is it that I won't get something better? And if it's that, and more than likely, I would say 100% of the time, right? That it's not that you can't.
Oh, yeah.
It's that you want. And then once you can have that honest conversation with yourself, now that you say, okay, it ain't that I really can get a job that fits me better. I really can. It's that I won't. Okay, well, why is it that you won't change what you say makes you unhappy?
Right.
Okay. Now guess what you've opened yourself now. Because now you can peel back the layers of why you're doing. You can peel back the layers as to why you're not doing something right, differently that you say makes you unhappy,
Yes.
right? You can pull,
Yes.
now you can pull back the layers as to why you won't do it,
Right.
right?
And
when you,
that, yeah, that's so good right there. Because I felt that bless somebody. Like, I know, some people don't believe in all that fruity stuff, but even though I like that and I absorbed that and I received that for myself, I felt that hit somebody that you just said that. Have that honest conversation with yourself, because it's not scary anymore.
it's not scary
It
anymore.
frees you.
It frees you.
You get that part of you back that's been possessed by your job.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And I always use this phrase, and I know people hear me say it a lot, and a lot of times I don't really explain it, right? But when you do something like that, what you've done is you're making space. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that, when you make space, when you go from I can't to acknowledging that it's not I can't, it's really that I want. Now you're making space for you to be more truthful with yourself, right? So that you can start to be honest about why you won't do it. Why you won't do it? Well, because you know what? I love that $5,000 check that comes every 2 weeks. I love that, right? Okay, now you're honest. All right, so now you need at least $5,000 every 2 weeks for you to feel secure.
Right.
Now you know something about yourself. Right?
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, so now so what are you giving up in exchange for that $5,000 check every 2 weeks? Well, my boss cusses me out, makes me feel like a child, makes me do X, Y, and Z that I want to do. Okay, so now you know something else about yourself. You're willing to be mistreated in exchange for $5,000 every 2 weeks. But this is the thing, that may sound cruel, but you have just given yourself depth about yourself.
Yeah.
Now you can start asking yourself, but what if I can make the same amount and not have to subject myself
and not get cussed out.
To get cussed out by a boss that I don't even like and that don't like me. Right? So now you've given yourself, now you've opened space to what? Wait a minute, you've opened space to be creative and new ideas about how your life can be.
Right.
And if you're willing to feed that through being on shows like this, connecting with self-help groups or accountability groups, connecting with other people who are just giving out that great energy, now all of a sudden you're going to go from somebody that didn't have any ideas to you're pouring out with ideas.
Yeah.
And it's all because you gave yourself space.
Yeah.
Right? To be more truthful about why you are not doing something, because it's never really I can't do it because you got the capacity. It's because you won't do it, and the won't is tied to feelings that are actually not true, not based in fact about who you have to be.
Right. Yes. Because the difference between can't and won't is the power to make the decision.
It's you, the power of you to make the decision.
Because if you can't, there's no decision to be made. You can't. But if you won't and you admit that to yourself, now you have the power back to actually make a decision.
But this is the thing. Most of us don't like to admit. We don't like to be truthful with ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
We don't like to be truthful with ourselves. Because one of the things I said, people don't like to, one of the things that really helped me was when I could be truthful to myself that I had been programmed. Right? Now, the reason why that became powerful to me, right? Program, condition. I use words like that. I use phrases like, but the reason why me being willing to just acknowledge that, okay, Sean, why is it that every Sunday I do this? Why is it that every Tuesday I do this? Right? And it's because my mama told me to do it. And then where did my mama get? My mama's mama told her to do it. Right? Right. But when I can acknowledge that I have been programmed, that doesn't mean it's not a bad or good thing. People always want to say, when I say something, they're like, well, you're saying that's, I'm not saying it's bad or good. I neutralize a lot of stuff. It's neither. Right. But it is a program. Now, this is where the power comes in it. Once I was able to acknowledge that others had programmed me, I gave space now to myself to say, well, you know what, Sean? If Carrie can program me and got me faithfully doing something every whatever, then what if I start to program myself?
Come on.
Now, when you take up the power and authority to start programming yourself, now that's when you start to cultivate those passions.
All right.
And you're being willing to pour it out.
Exactly. And possession fades away.
And possession fades away.
Completely fades away.
Completely. Possession has no space.
Nope.
In a free life.
No.
Because you don't need to possess anything. You're always willing to allow things to be, to change, and to end.
Come, go.
Go. Flow.
Yin, yang. Maso menos. Like, whatever language you want to say it in. Like, you know, it's a very powerful thing to be honest with yourself. And that transcends any situation in your whole life. But you will find that if you can transmute those possessions into a passion for your own life, the passion to create your own life, the passion to make your own decisions. Woo, you're right. Possession just doesn't have any room to stay.
It has no room to stay.
That is a beautiful thing.
Because possession cuts it off. It cuts growth off.
Completely suffocates creativity.
It
suffocates creativity because when you possess something, it doesn't change form. There's nothing new about it. It stays that way because when we want to possess something, let them change the agreement in any contract. You know.
Well, that's why I said in our last episode in the area of relationship. That's why a lot of times happiness and joy, when it goes to marriage, it goes there to die. Oof. Because people become so possessive, right? That they stop relating.
Right.
They stop because relationships are about relating. But a lot of times people get married, right? And they stop relating. It's like almost like, okay, well, now we can no longer relate with each other. It's about relating, and that's ongoing, permanent. It's never gonna change that you're gonna need to relate anew every day.
And a new thing. And a new thing. Absolutely.
And a new thing. And a new thing. And a new thing. And if I possess you, then I'm gonna want you to not change.
Right.
Right? I'm gonna want you to stay the way you were.
Impossible.
But if I give you freedom, and I know that to be in a relationship, there's a constant state of relating. Now, guess what we've done? Now we've made the relationship very interesting, right? Because now I'm like, oh, I wonder what Carrie has changed today, right? I want to know because now, guess what? There's a desire to know, right? That's constant and ongoing, right? So think about if you start to do that with yourself. There should be a desire to know yourself. Like, what is Sean gonna do today? And sometimes I'll be shocking myself, child.
And a lot of people say that what you did to get me, you need to do to keep me. That's bold. That's not gonna get. Be careful what you ask for now. Every time you go on a date, y'all go to the same place. You be pissed off.
But he giving you exactly, or she give you exactly what you said you needed. See, but this is the reason why you have to be willing to relate.
Right.
It's constant, right? But if you're not willing to relate to yourself, you're never going to relate to somebody else. Yeah. You're not going to be able to relate to somebody. You're not going to be able to really grow in your job. You're not going to be able to really transcend your job and become the boss. You're not going to be able to do that because you can't even relate to yourself. Right. The moment you have a thought that you never had before, you about to beat yourself up. Oh, I got to whip my head. A thought I shouldn't have had this thought. Oh my goodness, this thought but that's what happens, right? And then guess what? But you're not willing to relate. Okay, I had this thought. Let me explore why I got this thought, right? Now, guess what? Now I've just made myself interesting to myself.
Myself. Absolutely.
Are you interesting to yourself? Because if you're not interesting to yourself, you're not going to be interesting to somebody else. Not for a long period of time. Right. Yeah. And that's possession.
Yes, it is. And that's why I put in the description: to thine own self be true.
To thine own self be true. You can't be
false to any man. Because if they don't like it, they'll keep moving. And that's okay. Because it's their business to do so, and we have to be okay with that. Just not because it's not personal, it's passion. Because if you're passionate about yourself, all these outside forces won't touch your stuff because your stuff is cushioned with your own passion for your own life and for your own self.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now,
Good
before
stuff.
we leave, y'all, thank y'all for rolling with us today. Like, this has been amazing. Like, because you know me, I'll be like, run up on a time. And I'm just like, before we leave, I want you to do me a favor. Read that sentence one more time before we close out.
The one, okay.
Yeah, read that one more time for the people in the back.
In the back room. All right. So, learning to embrace your passions and expand them into purpose is the way to exit the bondage of a possessive mind.
Woo, that's good. Chills again. I like that.
And what I would say on top of that is write this down. In fact, I might put it in my little quote and stick it in the comments.
Oh, yeah, do that.
But meditate on what that's saying, right?
Yeah.
Because even I started to think about. I'm like, wow, when you said purpose, we're gonna do the passion versus possession. I had to, because I could be a very possessive kind of girl, right? But I don't. But I stopped wanting to be because
Right.
it was suffocating everything in my life and wasn't growing, right? And so, but when you learn to embrace your passions, right?
Yeah.
It's having a relationship with yourself.
Yes, it is.
And then you expand that. You
That is a
expand
beautiful
that.
thing. That is
Yes.
a beautiful thing to fall in love with yourself. And when you do that, people be
Yep.
like, she did this, that, that. You be like, oh, I did? Oh, shoot, it must have been a reason. Because I know me well enough to know that I love myself, that I would, if I loved myself that much, I would never do anything to anyone else on purpose that would cause them any type of discord.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people think that what you're doing for yourself, you're doing to them.
Yeah.
That's
But
just not
that's possession.
real.
Right? When you stop operating from the mindset from a possessive mind and you start operating from passions, you're not even going to be interpreting what other people are doing as against you. Like when people say stuff and I be like, ooh, I didn't get that. It just they say that shit went right over your head. Well, I wanted to keep going over my head because I don't really want everything people do to connect as if they doing something to me. I don't know. I'm a busy girl. I ain't got time for that.
Yeah, girl. Yes. They just be throwing punches and you don't even know. You be like, oh, I know, right? Yeah, right.
But you when you do that, you're hitting the air. You're not affecting me, right? Because the only person you're afflicting is yourself.
Yep.
You're not afflicting me.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Namaste, Queen.
Namaste.
Absolutely. This has been good. I know y'all. I would say, did y'all enjoy it? I already know. I already know y'all did it. I already know y'all did. So thank you so much, Sean.
You're welcome. I'm so glad to be here.
And just so you guys know, if anybody's on Clubhouse, Sean does Clubhouse every Friday morning, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Jump on there. She talks about embodied cognition.
Embodied cognition.
Being
you.
Always. You like this topic today? You're going to like every other topic you're going to hear from her on Clubhouse as well. So y'all link up with her, follow her on Clubhouse. I'm on there, but y'all don't have to follow me. I ain't on there, no. I get on there and listen to Sean because I like listening to Sean because she always talking about some good stuff. But yeah, it's Clubhouse is an amazing place. So if you're on there, definitely hook up with us and join us on Friday mornings, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So
you got it. Thank you.
Sean. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And
thank
y'all
you.
have
Thank
a
you.
Good day, and we're ending at 1, 2, 3.
Ashe.
Bye, y'all.